This meeting is being recorded for district purposes. It is or may be published in part or in its entirety on the district's website without the express permission of meeting participants. Can I have a roll call, please, June?
Mr. Angus,
Here.
Mr. Campbell,
Here.
Mrs. Curtis,
Here.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Here.
Mrs. Manganello,
Here.
Mr. Metz,
Here.
Ms. Pettigo,
Here.
Ms. Young,
Here.
Mrs. Fisher,
Here.
9 present.
Thank you. Can I have the sunshine law, please?
The Board of School Directors held an executive session on Wednesday, October 21st to discuss personnel matters and matters subject to attorney-client privilege and other confidentiality laws.
Thank you, June. Any correspondence this evening?
No correspondence.
Thank you. I have a motion to accept or correct the minutes of the September 9th meet and discuss voting meeting, September 9th meet and discuss non-voting meeting, September 16th board meeting, and September 28th special board meeting.
So moved.
Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report dated September 2020.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Young. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Do we have any amendments, addendums to the agenda this evening? June?
No, we do not.
Nothing this evening. We do have some recognitions, presentations this evening. We'll start with Mrs. Lucatordo, our athletic director. Addie?
Good evening. How are
Good
you?
evening. Good, Addie. Thanks. How are you? Thanks for attending tonight.
Thank you. I don't have an agenda up. I don't know where you wanted to start.
June?
I don't have an agenda, Addie, to pull up if you want.
Oh, okay. Sorry. We have a middle school fall sports wrap up, and we have a high school fall sports update, and we have a student athlete to recognize. Should I just go ahead?
Yes, please.
Thank you. So on the middle school boys team, they finished the season, boys soccer finished the season with a record of 5-4. The team played throughout the season with only 11 student athletes and played some games a player down. Middle school girls soccer had a good season. They won many of their games by multiple goals, and they finished the season with a record 5-2-1. The middle school cross country team was able to compete in races at all the section varsity meets, and the runners improved their personal times weekly. The middle school football team had one of its best seasons ever. The team finished the season with a 5-1 record. The team suffered a heartbreaking 22-20 loss against Aliquippa on October 14th to keep them from a perfect season. The team came back from a 20-6 deficit to pull within a reach of the win. The balanced offensive attack gained ground with both its rushing and passing schemes. The defense regrouped at halftime to corral the speed of the Aliquippa offense. We're looking forward to the 8th graders to bring their never quit attitude, speed, and every player get to the ball defense to the high school squad next year. And I think Mr. McKelvey would like to share something.
Thank you, Addie. Yeah, I just want to say, first of all, congratulations to all of our student athletes, especially to the middle school football team and their coaches on an excellent season. We're very proud of your accomplishments, and you should be too. We know the demands on student athletes can be challenging. You know, being a student athlete is an accomplishment in and of itself, let alone to have such a successful season. So we're beyond proud of the middle school football team and their coaches. And on behalf of the middle school faculty, staff, and administration, I would like to say congratulations.
Thanks, Tom. On the high school side, we have an update. The football team ended its season with a 1-6 record. We were not able to play the final game this season against Quaker Valley that was scheduled for Thursday due to the number of COVID cases at our opponent's school. Excuse me. The team members played true Ironman football much of the season, with many of them playing offense, defense, and special teams. Several student athletes played the entire 48 minutes of the final 2 games. The girls volleyball team faced a rebuilding year under their new coach, Tim Burish. With 1 match remaining to be played in the regular season this week, their current record is 2-8. The volleyball team lost all their tournament opportunities due to COVID-19. Those early matches would have helped them to gel as a team. We hope they have those opportunities next season. Girls tennis faced its own challenges in the fall due to COVID-19. They were unable to play any of their home matches on their home court at Brady's Run Park. Their opponents had the home court advantage every match, but the girls played hard through adversity. The cross country team also had some limited opportunities to compete this fall, with many of their larger races canceled due to COVID-19. They're looking forward to competing at the Whitfield Championships on October 28th at White Oak Park. The girls soccer team finished their regular season with a strong push. They had a tie against a good Beaver team and a win in double overtime over Hopewell, and the girls advanced to the Whitfield playoff. The tournament bracket was released today, and the girls will be playing, they came out ranked 13th in the AA bracket, and they'll face number 4, Southmoreland Scotties, on Tuesday, October 27th at 6:30 p.m. And that game will be played at Southmoreland in Alverton, PA. The boys soccer team finished the regular season with a record of 9-3. They finished with a strong 3-game winning streak. The team won an important game against North Catholic on October 10th to cement their spot in the Whitfield playoff tournament. The tournament bracket, again, was released today, and the tournament bracket gives us the opportunity to host a home game. They are going to be playing here at home on Monday night at 6:30 p.m. and they came out with an 8 seed, and they're going to be playing 9th ranked Golden Eagles of Keystone Oaks. So that'll be in Mo Rubenstein Stadium on Monday night. Boys golf team is coming back to life at the high school with some new team members. The team was able to pull off 2 upset wins at the end of the season, and we look forward to that team improving. The girls golf team continues to gain steam, and Dinah Bailey led the team through the season. The team added some young players that are working to learn the game. So at this point, we'd like to recognize Dinah. I think she's on the call. Dinah represented Ambridge Area High School at the Whitfield Class AA Individual Championship. She earned her spot at the championship with a 2nd place finish at the section qualifier. She's the first female student athlete to qualify for the golf championship since 2008. This season, Dinah consistently shot 41 over 9 holes at the team's home golf course at Fox Run Golf Club. Dinah is a 4-year ladder winner on the girls golf team. And Coach Larry Knopsnyder says that Dinah is competitive, hardworking, and smart. She doesn't look for a pat on the back. She works to improve. Dinah is looking forward to choosing a college where she can continue her education and have the opportunity to play golf competitively. So we really want to give a shout out to Dinah and congratulate her on an incredibly successful 4 years playing for Ambridge High School.
Congratulations.
Dinah, congratulations. We are Bridger proud, very proud of you, honey, for all your accomplishments. We're proud to say you're a Bridger.
Absolutely. Congratulations.
And to all of the student athletes out there, thank you. Addie, thank you for that update. First of all, we look forward to having that monthly. I really like that update. I think it's something that the public and parents and community will enjoy. So thank you for that. And we congratulate all of our student athletes, and we are very, very proud of you for your seasons.
Absolutely. Well said.
All right. Moving on to the Ambridge Area School District Nursing Department update.
I've been asked by the Ambridge Area School District certified school nurses to read the following update. As your certified school nurses, we are writing you today to share with you our experiences, concerns, and our professional opinion as we now draw near to the end of the first 9 weeks. As many of you know, this has and will continue to be a very unique and trying school year. We have faced many challenges to start this year and feel that we are able to overcome them by following our reopening plan, working cohesively with all building nurses and collaborating with administration to ensure we were all well informed as we work to keep our students and staff safe. We have continued to monitor updates from the Pennsylvania Department of Health and will continue to make adjustments to the literature we utilize for our own guidance, as well as the literature we send home with parents and guardians. This literature can also be found on the district website under Health Services. Going forward, it is very important for us to be able to maintain the level of safety we currently feel we have in our buildings. Therefore, it is our recommendation we continue the hybrid and remote models that the district is currently utilizing. It is this hybrid model that allows us to safely distance our students and staff in the classrooms, cafeteria, as well as transitioning through the hallways. It is also imperative that we consider the upcoming cold and flu season, as well as the current rise in COVID-19 cases. The nation is currently seeing new daily cases reports over 58,000, with Pennsylvania reporting over 1,000 new cases daily for the past 15 days. With a combined 26 years experience in the district, we know what a typical cold and flu season looks like in our student population. In a normal year, we can see upwards of 30 to 40 students a day at elementary levels during this time. With the COVID-19 virus mimicking the symptoms of the typical cold and flu viruses, we could potentially be quarantining hundreds of students each week if we push for all of our students to return to in-person instruction, ultimately leading to more disruptions in an already taxing learning environment. In closing, it is our sincere hope that you will keep our concerns and opinions in mind when making the very difficult decisions in which you are constantly tasked with making. Should you need any further input, please feel free to reach out to either one of us, Stuart Rusnak and Christine McCloskey.
Thank you, Mrs. Mueller.
You're welcome.
Dr. Pascarilla, can you give us a staff survey update, please?
Sure, I'd like to thank Ms. Lori Heim, who, first of all, I'd like to thank all the staff who participated in the survey as requested at last week's board meeting for an update. I'd like to thank Ms. Lori Heim for putting together a quick little PowerPoint of some of the results that I'm going to share with you here today. At this point, if it is possible, Mrs. Mueller, would you be able to pull up the PowerPoint, please? Okay, so this is the remote learning survey conducted with the Ambridge Area School District, and this is the teacher response data that was collected as of October 20th, 2020. Next slide, please. There were 128 teachers who responded to 14 questions. Next slide, please. This sort of asks just what grade level the different responses came in at, and you can obviously view that. We had a wide range of folks from different grade levels who responded. Next slide.
First time it's being brought up. No. We had other.
The next is how often are you, the next question is how often are you expecting students to complete homework? And I think you can see that, excuse me, I'm sorry. Let me back up one. First, on average, excuse me, question number 3 says on average, how much of the assigned homework is conducted on the screen? That was one of the things we wanted to know. And so if you had chosen 1 star, it would be mostly paper and pencil. And if you chose 10 stars, it would be mostly online. So we're averaging about 7.55. So most of the work, as you can see there, is conducted on the screen. Next slide. On average, how engaged are your students who are participating remotely? And 1 star would be not very engaged and 10 stars would be very engaged. So we're right in the middle. This tells us that this is probably an area where we want to continue to work with our parents and students to continue to increase engagement in this format. That being said, I do think, you know, it's an honest and upfront expectation that we want to engage more of our students more of the time, and we want to work with them as they adjust to this type of online hybrid learning. Thank you. Next slide. So on average, what is the time frame that you are responding to student and parent questions that are sent in from home? You can kind of see this, that a majority of them are within the school day. Some are as quick as 1 to 3 hours, or 15 minutes to an hour, or immediately to 15 minutes. A few are within 24 hours, and very few are beyond that. So I think we're doing a pretty good job trying to respond to the parent and student questions that are being asked to us as soon as possible. So I'd like to thank our teachers and our parents and students for working together, because I think communication is definitely key in this type of environment. Next question. So do you feel that our current hybrid method of instruction should continue as is, or should we increase in-person instruction for all students? When asking all of the teachers, you could see that a majority want to keep the hybrid method, and there was a population who were in favor of increasing in-person time. Next slide. This slide sort of just breaks this down by grade level. Again, you could see that at the elementary school, it's more heavily looking towards the hybrid as opposed to increasing in person. A little closer in the middle school, but still favoring the hybrid, and pretty substantial amount keep the hybrid at the high school as compared to increasing in-person learning. Next slide. What challenges are you seeing that the students are having during their online school days with the hybrid model that we are currently using? What Mrs. Heim worked towards is trying to find some key vocabulary here because these were not choices. This was an open-ended question that administration is reviewing, but we looked for some general, she looked and kind of gathered this data and helped me put this together so that you can see some key things that our staff feel are challenges. And if you look at that, you will see that student engagement is one of the items that we are working towards. You will also see that attendance is a little bit of an issue, and students being on task, and students and technology-based issues as well are some of the other items measured. So this pie chart, it wasn't like a drop-down menu where they chose out of those choices, but these were things that definitely came up, and she tried to quantify those to try to give us some type of percentage to see that what we would most likely need to be working on as we continue to utilize some professional development time when it's available, working with technology integrators and our staff to continue to try to increase student engagement for our remote learners, try to fix and work on technology-based issues, trying to keep students on task, and as always, making sure that students attend. Next slide. This says, what percentage of your students have not completed a majority of his or her assignments? And you could sort of see that the largest block, as we had hoped, is 0 to 10%. So that's great, and 10 to 20%, and so on straight down the line. Obviously, we want our students to complete a majority of their assignments, and we want to work with them to be able to do that. And it is good to see that a majority of our students are completing a majority of their assignments. That being said, there's always room for improvement, and we want to try to engage and encourage our students to continue to complete their assignments in an effective and proficient way. Next question. As a teacher, what will make you feel safe to have all students back in the classroom 4 to 5 days a week? Again, this was more open-ended, and again, we tried to look at what would be the most important factors, key words and vocabulary, and turn those into quantified percentages. So you'll see that social distancing, class size, cleaning protocols, mask protocols, and vaccines being available were some key points that were kind of a consistent theme brought through all the teachers' answers in the open-ended. Leading the way is continuing to make sure that students can be socially distanced. And it looks like next would be making sure cleaning protocols and mask protocols were followed. Okay. Next. At what time of day are your students more engaged and on task? This, when you look at all teachers, 46% would say the morning, 38% would say it's pretty even both, and 16% would say in the afternoon. Next slide. When you break this down by grade level, you can see that at the elementary school, it's more heavily associated with the morning or both. At grade 6 to 8, it's heavily in both and a little bit more in the morning. And then grades 9 to 12 is a lot more evenly spread out amongst the day. Next slide. On an average day, how many students attend in-person face-to-face instruction on your Garnet day in your classroom? And you will see that primarily the blue would indicate 0 to 5 students. And you have 22 there. 5 to 7 students had 35. 7 to 10 students have 36. And 10 to 13 students had 29. And then it goes significantly down from 13 to 16. There'd be a few classrooms that would be able to hold 16 to 20, but not many. So that's probably why you see a low amount there. So that gives the board and the community a little idea of the number of students attending. And we wanted to break this down by day. So that's the Garnet day. Next slide. Pretty consistently, maybe slight differences between the 7 to 10 and the 5 to 7. But overall, you're going to see that majority of the students in the classroom are ranging from 5 to 7 or 7 to 10, with the outskirts looking at 0 to 5 and 10 to 13, and then only a couple in the classrooms on our grade A's that would be up to 16 to 20. Next question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how flexible are you on grading if the student identifies technology issues? We ask this in this way because sometimes, technology issues we know that some families are concerned about, and we want to make sure that our teachers are being flexible. So we were asking them on a scale of 1 to 10, basically 1, when you're not very flexible, to 10, you are being very flexible. How would you rank yourself? And on average, we came up with a 9.28 average rating, which I'd like to thank the teachers and staff for being flexible and working with our parents and students and allowing them to work through any technological issues that might come. This is new for all of us. We're in this together. So again, really wanted to thank the teachers for being flexible and the parents and students for being flexible. This was a very powerful number to me, knowing that people are working together to be flexible to allow them to complete their assignments. Next slide. On an average day, how many students attend in-person, face-to-face? Oh, I think we already went over that once. You could go to the next slide. And then the next slide after that. Okay, thank you. Please add any additional comments that you might have. This basically is just letting you know we did offer the staff the ability to write any comments that they may have that they would feel very beneficial for us. And the administrative team will get the opportunity to review those comments submitted, and will work to the best of our ability to address any of the frequently mentioned challenges cited by the staff. So that is a brief overview. I've, kind of a quick turnaround time, and I'd like to just thank the staff that did participate in this to give us their feedback, and I will try to do my best to answer any questions that I can from the board.
Thank you, Dr. Pressfield. Thank you for presenting that information to us and the public this evening. I'd like to thank the teaching staff as well for submitting all of the information to give us some background and their input. After all, they are who is in the classroom, so it's beneficial to us to have as much information as we can from the staff. One suggestion I would like to make, and I'll let the rest of the board members jump in as well if they have any thoughts they want to add. I would like to bring the survey information and reconvene the committee and discuss this, and Mr. King, could you just jump in here for a minute and just refresh and let the public know how many people we have on the committee and the makeup of.
We did have 31. I think at the most we had 32 or 33 members. I'm actually prepared that we would send out the invites for Teams meeting to reconvene the committee tomorrow and go over the plan with the committee and see if we need to do any additions or if we want to change anything. I'm not saying that would happen, but it would be good for the committee, especially there's a lot of teachers on it after their experiences of the year to, refresh where we're at and see, maybe add some updates to the plan that the CDC's come out with or the health department. But with that being said, we'll get those invites out tomorrow or at the latest Friday.
Thank you. I think it would be important for us district to just reconvene and go over all of these results with the committee and get any thoughts, suggestions, additions, what does work in their eyes, maybe some things they can look at the survey and brainstorm and bring some things back. So I'll just start there by saying that I think, I feel we should reconvene. I think that's a good idea. And any of the other board members, whoever would like to jump in and give some thoughts as well, or any questions for Dr. Pascarella, please do so.
Kathy, I have to agree with you. I think that the committee has to get together here. I mean, we have some school districts surrounding us that are going through some things. And, I think that we need to look ahead as well to, see what the best plan is for us, to be honest with you. I've told you my opinion on it. Adding an extra day for in-class learning, I think may be important. That's my opinion. I'm not a part of the committee right now. But that's my opinion moving forward is, we should give the option to the people, I feel like, you know what I mean, if they want to send their kid for more or not. But again, the committee, I feel like there's a ton of people on there with a lot of knowledge. So I feel like you definitely got to get together and take a look at some stuff.
Thanks, Mr. Kim. And I'll just piggyback on that a little bit and saying that I agree. I think we need to get some feedback from the committee as well and include them. And I would like to bring this information back to our November meeting and discuss it publicly again as well. We'll put it on the agenda. I think that's important that we hear all the concerns that we possibly can and take feedback as well, from the community, from our staff and we'll
Excuse
Go
me,
ahead.
Kathy. I'm sorry, I
Yes.
don't mean to interrupt. But
Sure. Go ahead.
can Barry or Dr. Passarella go over who is on this committee? I mean, I don't need specific names, just, how are they involved in the school? How many parents?
Mr. King,
What is the
I can
makeup
give a
of the
little
committee?
update too, but can you just give a little update of the makeup of who's on, just in general, we don't
I mean,
have.
there's a number of community members, there's teachers, there's administrators, there's anybody that takes a lead in the district, anything from your custodial to your teachers union and also teachers that deliver instruction. So it's a variety of people from different, from a variety of stakeholders with different interests, in the school community. So
We have parents as well,
But-
Mr. King, right? And medical personnel, I know was part of that as well.
yes. And actually, I believe the names of the members, that are the names of most of the members or all of the members should be on the website. If you go under the reopening plan, if you went under that, it would list all the team members.
And is this something that us as school board members can jump in without making comments or whatever and watch this meeting to see how it proceeds?
I mean, that would be up to your board president, but the way that we did it, we had we had the larger committee and then we broke out into different sections of the committee into subgroups in order to put different sections of the plan together. So I believe that when we we would go and do an overview of the entire plan, and then anybody could have, some input into the plan. When we did that, we weren't, basically we asked, a lot of teachers and a lot of community members volunteered. And then anybody that volunteered was allowed to be on the committee. It wasn't, it wasn't a shut door. I mean, about anybody that wanted to could be a member of that committee. And Dr. Pearl can correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, that's how we did it.
Mrs. Curtis, before, I just wanted to get Ms. Turnbull's legal advice here as to, of course, I want the board to have as much information as we possibly can before we come to any sort of decision. Including the entire board would not be possible on their, would it be correct because of a,
So so if you have any more than 5.
right. I just wanted you to give the legal explanation,
Yeah.
just so people understand.
I mean, in any sort of, back and forth meeting, then that would be considered a public meeting. You can advertise for a public meeting, but it would have to be publicly advertised and treated in that way. And I don't believe that that's the way that this committee operated, at least over the summer. So instead, I think, the direction that I would likely give, unless you wanted to make it a committee of the whole meeting, would be to have no more than 4 of your board members attend anyone, but it could be different ones at different subcommittee meetings. I mean, there are ways to navigate that as you see fit.
Okay, so maybe Ms. Turnbull and I could talk about how we could incorporate different board members for different applications for the plan, and work on how we cannot, we can adhere to the sunshine law, but still include everybody. And maybe a suggestion, and we can collaborate and think of who we can get to do that, as far as somebody taking a summary of the meeting and giving, a summary sheet to the entire board, of course, before any decisions are considered. And if anybody has other better ideas that they think would work as well, please jump in. I wanted her to legally explain for us, just so everybody on the board understood how we can approach it. Do any of the other board members have any other questions that they would like to, I want the entire information to go back to the board so that an informed decision can be whatever is decided, whether we stay with the plan, whether we move forward with changes, that everybody has the full opportunity as board members to look at the entire situation and consider hearing from staff, hearing the, parent concerns, putting that all together and collaborating it for our meeting in November, so that we can have an open discussion as a board on the subject. Because of course,
Yeah, Kathy.
Yes, go ahead, Ms.
Sorry.
Pedigo.
So I would like, it seems to be some stratification between elementary and middle school and high school. And so it looks like we have the information to be able to differentiate. So for example, if we look at elementary, or we say, well, yeah, pre-K through 5, and kind of lump them together, could we understand how many kids are in those classrooms and what the capacity looks like? Because really that's the information that I think we need, or at least I need, to make an informed decision about whether we would change course or consider an alternate plan. So that's my first question, is can we have that information broken down a little bit more by age group? And then the same thing goes with, so on an average day, how many students attend in person, face-to-face instruction in your classroom on Garnet days? I would want to know, like, where the 0 to 5 students exist. That sort of thing. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
Okay.
That's really, do you have any feedback as in regards to any more information? Or this is information we need to compile
Yeah,
and
I
get?
mean, we could try to compile that. The only thing that I would encourage us all to be mindful of is sometimes, as we might recall from our committee and our decision, is that people have the ability to, pretty fluidly to go in and out. So of the hybrid and full remote. That being said, there are some folks who are deciding to go back and forth one way or the other, and there are other folks who are sticking to their plan that they originally said and not making any changes. So I would just say that the data that is being requested, if that's what we're looking for, I could try to provide that, but I just think it's important to understand that that's fluid. And by parent choice and by student choice, and sometimes even, by just being extra cautious and concerned if a student is out for a day. And, some of our parents are reading online that says, if you have any of these symptoms, maybe you keep your student home and those types of things. So, I think it is fluid. I do understand what's being asked. That's why we try to use the word average. So I think if you wanted us to try to get to the bottom of exactly where the 0 to 5 on average are, we could try to work on that.
I think you already have the data, Dr. Pascarella, because just looking at the way the PowerPoint's arranged, it seems like all you need to do is just identify those grade levels and you'd be able to see the responses for that. So I don't think it's going to be any extra work, but I think it would be helpful. Understanding that it's fluid, I completely understand that. If we take the staff survey and we match up the parent choice survey together, we probably have a pretty good idea of how many people, at least for the foreseeable future, plan to or would plan to do a certain thing with their child. And so, it's not hard and fast. I get that, but that's what feels closer to the solution we would need quicker to be able to develop our plan in a different way, or say, hey, we're going to keep it the same based on everything we know. But I think, so that would be my next question. When will we expect the parent survey to, what's the time frame for that?
Dr. Pascarella, I don't know if you want to, we can, as a board, once again, compile some questions and work on that over the next week or so. If the rest of the board would like that, to start there, and then compiling both results to take back to the committee. And maybe what we could do, and I'll need to think about it a little bit, but maybe what we could do is, have little representatives from maybe each, like K through 5, middle school, high school, as far as board members, to kind of collaborate and get different ideas. Once we get more feedback as far as from the staff and then parents, to try to incorporate as many board members as we can without, of course, legally not violating anything. And anybody could jump in if you don't think that's a good idea, or you don't want to go that route, or you have another suggestion that maybe you feel would be better. Please jump in and give some feedback.
I think we need to. I think we need to do a parent survey.
Okay.
I'm
in agreement. We do. I think the entire board is probably in agreement that.
Yeah,
so everybody,
and then we can put that stuff together.
Scott, go ahead. You had some input too?
No, I just agree we need to do the parent survey.
Okay.
And I don't think it has to be that as many questions or
right
as the one for the staff. You know what I mean?
Right,
I feel like the parent survey is kind of, it's really just kind of easy. Do you want to send your kid back more days, or you don't?
Right.
That's really what
we need. We need that information to get a sound decision either way on whatever.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Yes.
I agree.
And I think we could probably add a couple of questions just while we're surveying.
Sure. and we can collaborate.
You don't want my one question survey?
I love
my one question survey goes easy.
I know. But definitely just I think marrying those things together, because what's happening right now is we see information at different school districts, and we're not sure if we can compare to them or what exactly they're doing. And so for as many people, for as many success stories that you hear of schools going back full time or 4 days a week, you've got just as many not so good, not so successful stories. And so I think we just need to know our own story. And so
we do. We definitely do. And then that is exactly unique to our district, that we need all the information to come to some sort of informed decision as a board to do what we can.
And I think our public, our constituents, our community needs to know that if we have the data that shows us that we need to make a different decision, then I'm speaking for myself, I'm willing to do that. So, I am not stuck on just the current plan that we have.
I don't think anybody is.
And involvement. Yeah. I can only
as far as I know.
Right. I can only speak for myself, but I think that's important for everyone to know, is that we want to do the right thing.
Sure.
And
I don't
that's-
foresee anybody on the board not agreeing that, of course, 5 days a week education in person is optimal. I don't think anybody on the board does not realize that that is of utmost importance. But in order for us to make an informed decision for the district and a safe decision and you know, have all of the pieces together as far as how many kids we can fit, so on and so forth. There are a lot of components that go into it, but I think if we get results from the both surveys, and compile everything for us as board members and community members to share it, we will do that. I mean, there's no, you know, we want to do that. We want people to understand whatever decision we do make, we'll bring forward with the information compiled from the surveys.
Yep, and if it tells us that we shouldn't change, then we shouldn't change. I mean, that's just got to.
We'll review everything as
Right.
you know, we're all in agreement that we want to do what's best for the kids, and we will do so. We just need more information. We definitely need more information. Anybody? Yes, Mrs. Kehoe, go
Mrs.
ahead.
Fisher. Yeah, I just wanted to say, I think it's a good idea to reconvene the committee, get the parent surveys, although I think we pretty much know what the majority of the parents are going to say. And I think that is to get the kids back into school 5 days a week. And I think that's what everybody on the board is for. However, you have to be cautious when doing that. I'm hoping that maybe once a committee meets, maybe we can even add just one more day in, but it's something I would like to put out there too, that some of the surrounding school districts, parents have said, well, such and such school district's gone back, or this school district's gone back. But I've had the opportunity to listen to some other board meetings throughout not just Beaver County, but some of the surrounding counties too. And one of the terms that for districts that have gone back either full-time or they're back 4 days or whatever is when they're looking at students in a classroom, the term they're throwing out a lot is, well, CDC's suggested distancing is 6 feet, but that's not how they're spacing their kids in their actual classroom. So I think maybe part of that survey to the parents needs to be, you know, if we're going, so let's just say we opted to send the kids back 5 days a week. Are you comfortable with your child being within 2 to 3 feet of another child? Because that's the only way some of these districts are able to turn around and put all those kids back into a classroom.
Yes, thank you for those thoughts. And as we said, there are many components that go into, you know, making informed decisions, and each district is unique in itself. We need to look at our own personal district and get what information we need. So
And
that,
let's not forget, it's also coming to flu season too as well.
yes,
So you're coming to an area where flu season is going to play a big factor in this.
yes, many factors play a part.
Kathy, I think one of the areas that we should look at also is in the survey, in some of the districts that have gone 5 days, how many students then had to opt out and not be in school because of that? Because there's 2 feet. The hallways are crowded again. The building's back to full capacity. And in our question, even though, Chuck, I wish it could be one question, I think we need to get more information of, we have heard from families that this isn't working, but we have also heard from families where it is working for their children. So really finding out every side and not just the side that is speaking the loudest at one moment. So then we can make an informed decision for all of our students and what's best and at what grade levels. So as you said, breaking up the grade levels of K5, 6, 8, 9, 12, I think we also need to add in a category of special education and focus on that, because I think when we're looking at even some of those results of being distracted, different things like that, is it because they're a student with an IEP? Do they need that paraprofessional or that adult teacher? They might not have needed a paraprofessional before, but they might need that adult teacher to keep them on task so they can learn also. because I know this entire group does not want children to regress, but every decision that we make is going to be a reaction to somebody else, and it will cause somebody else not to be happy. So there's no way for us to win in this situation because hybrid does work for some, full day works for some.
Sure. I couldn't agree.
But giving people the choice on whether or not those kids can go 4 days that need to go 4 days, I
Right,
think is what we need to look at. I'm not disagreeing with you with the others, with whatever else you said. But what I'm saying is, I understand that it works for some and it doesn't work for others. Well, those who it works for, then you make that choice and go that route.
But Chuck, realize that when you make that decision to allow 30 in a classroom, if a kid can only handle the 15 in the classroom for his health or her health or their health, whatever, they may no longer be able to come in because we gave everybody else the option to come 4 days. So that hybrid option goes out the door. They could attend 2 days a week and attend 2 days a week online, but that safety of the hybrid option goes out the door as soon as you open up your building back to being 4 or 5 days open to everyone.
Well, can we put on the survey that maybe send them half a day, half of them half day, Garnet in the morning, Gray in the afternoon, or vice versa? That way they can get their core classes in with their teacher in person 4 to 5 days a week. And then whenever they're not there, then they can do their specials and other things online.
So for elementary students, you're talking, Kitty, not
Yes.
for middle and high school.
Right.
I think that's why we need to break up our questions by grade
Yes.
levels.
Right.
I agree.
Because every situation is different based on those grade levels.
There may be some questions in common, but they definitely need to be broken out so that we can adjust to those accordingly. Any other board members with any feedback at all? I just didn't want to miss anybody. If we're good and we've agreed upon that we will work on this and bring forth results at our November voting meeting, then we can move forward with the rest of the agenda. But we would like to assure the public as a board that we will be exploring opportunities, looking at all the facts. We hear everyone's concerns and we share the same concerns, and we will work hard to come to the best possible solution that we can. Okay, other than that, if there aren't any, Dr. Pascarella, do you have anything else to add?
Again, I'm not going to belabor the point at this given point. I don't think gaining information, if that's what you're going to gather from the board, and then we'll survey, that is fine. I'm going to continue to say that I think that following the CDC guidelines, as whether they call that suggested or not, have paid some dividends to us, and obviously myself as the superintendent, as well as probably, if not everyone, staff-wise, administration, teachers, everyone would say that if things could be done in a safe manner and we can go back to the way that we did it before, I think that's what everyone would want to do. That being said, I think the key word there is safely. And I would just say also, we'll remind folks that if you do have some of these outbreaks, as we've seen in other school districts nearby, they're shutting down for large periods of time then, which could happen to us, even in the hybrid model. It hasn't yet, fortunately. But if it does, then you're talking about full remote. So I just would caution everybody on that. I think information is powerful. So I'll look forward to, I know Mrs. Fisher, you work with the board to get some of the questions that they feel, and we'll put our input into that. My recommendation at this given point, which is subject to change as this ever-changing environment moves and we get new information, is that we're seeing the chart that we showed last week actually go up in number and county. And so I continue to err on the side of safety and caution. while trying to improve our product for our students and parents and staff. But at any rate, we will work together underneath the direction of the board, and I'll continue to recommend what I think will be best for you all to consider. And at any rate, I respect everyone's opinion on this difficult issue, and would again always like to thank our staff in particular for all of the extra effort, staying late, coming early, doing everything they can to try to do what they can to make this go as smooth as possible. And thank our parents and students for being flexible and trying to do the very best they can in this difficult environment. And just know, as I recommend things, my number one reason, although education is the very being of why we're all here, I will always try to think things through and listen to experts in the field and recommend what I think is also in the best interest as far as safety goes as well. So thank you for allowing me to speak and to share the results. And I'll look forward to some information that you may collect from the board that we can work together to gain information from the parents. But thanks again to the staff, parents, and students. And I'll continue to, in my opinion, try to offer the best possible education possible, trying to improve each and every day, as I know our staff is doing, in a very safe environment. Thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Pascarella. Before we do move on, I did want you to just give a little information on our CARES funding that we did receive during COVID. Could you just give a little point of information on there as in regard to what the majority of the money was used for?
So a majority of the money, as many of the board members and those of you that have been attending our meetings regularly since the summer, spring, summer, probably realize were spent on technology devices that are allowing us to provide our students this hybrid education. As you may recall, our K to 5 have received iPads, and our 6 to 12 have received laptops. So that's the primary focus. Some additional dollars may end up being used for different cleaning supplies and protective equipment, but in large part, most all of the dollars have been spent on technology to offer this education. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, board, I will be touching base with you to get your thoughts as well before compiling a survey to send out to the parents, but we will work hard over the next few weeks to get, we'll work hard, in the next week to get that survey out to the parents and compile the information and give enough time to reconvene the committee so that we can discuss. So I will be in touch in regards to that. And I thank you all for your input. And I think same as Dr. Pascarella, the staff, once again, we know you're working very hard to make things work for these kids. And we do see it as a board and we appreciate it very much. All right.
Mrs. President.
Yes.
Can I just say real quick, I don't want to belabor the point, but I did want to make sure that Dr. Pascarella and his administrative team is thanked, because I feel as a board member that I'm getting really great communication on a daily basis, not on specific issues, but on how things are being handled from a COVID perspective. And I would say that, the position that we're in right now, in part, is because of the conservative nature of your decisions, Dr. Pascarella. So I just want to say that I appreciate that. And I think that's what's giving us some options to move our plan forward. So I appreciate the communication and I appreciate your swift decision-making.
Thank you, Mrs. Pentagon. I echo that sentiment as well. All right, moving forward. To public comment regarding agenda items only. In light of the state declared disaster emergency, the board has adopted modified public meeting and public comment processes consistent with the Sunshine Law. These modified rules have been published in a newspaper of general circulation and on the district's website. Public comment will only be taken in written formats via email in advance of the meeting. Public comments received in advance will be circulated to the board. All public comments regarding agenda items will be read during the meeting. All other comments will be summarized during the meeting. All comments must include the resident property owner's name and address. Mrs. Mueller?
Yes, I have a public comment from Tyler Brown, Freedom PA. And to summarize his comment, Mr. Brown would like to see the extension of tech support hours to cover the time of day when the students are most desperate for help, for example, the start of the school day. Mr. Brown believes that expanding the availability of the tech support department will help to solve the availability issues of the middle school front desk. The next public comment I have from Sherry Paul. To summarize her public comment, Ms. Paul is asking the board to provide families an option to send their children for more in-person instruction, especially for the younger children that require more hands-on attention. Provide families the option for in-person instruction if their personal risk for poor education environment and lack of socialization is greater than the virus. Being that teachers already see the kids twice a week, more in-person days would not change the risk of the teacher getting it. And that is all the public comment I have.
Thank you. Thank you for both of those questions. Dr. Pascarella, if you want to touch on that as well. Both of those issues, I believe, will be included in the information that we will be exploring with the committee and with the board and the results we get from the community. Go ahead, Dr. Pascarella, if you'd like to jump in.
So I think the 5-day, I think we've all kind of shared our thoughts on that. And I appreciate the feedback again about, concern about giving an option for students to come back 5 days a week. And I know that we have just touched upon that for some time in regard to some next steps in reconvening the committee and looking into, putting that into conjunction, as I said earlier, with, the safety and well-being of our students. So I do appreciate the comment, and we understand, as I said earlier, that in a safe way, I think myself as a superintendent, as well as most of our staff, would love to get back to that, but it's just kind of that balancing point between safety and, the education and trying to do our best. As far as technology help goes, first of all, I think it would be imperative, and I thank all staff, but that Nick, Ryan, and Lori in the technology office, to go one-to-one where many districts take years and years, and a couple years to get to that point. And we did that very quickly. I'd just like to thank them for all of their efforts. And I know the amount of help tickets coming in might seem like, they're trying to get to you and it might be not as quick as you need it. And I do honestly respect that, but I also think it's important to thank them for the work they do. I know that they are in here around the start of the school day and their work day, and I've seen them many times on their own working into the night to try to handle many, many issues that we have. So I really do thank them for that. And they do that all with a pretty thin staff. And that's something, when we're trying to have technology devices that are going to work in our students' hands, it's important to have that support, agreed. But it, as we all know, to be fiscally responsible, we have to balance between the number of, devices that are out there and also the number of folks working in our technology department to be transparent and upfront. So I would just say that, continue to try to work with our technology department, let your principals and teachers know. And our technology department is working very diligently to try to get back to everybody in a timely manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pascarella. And I would like to thank Mrs. Heim as well for putting all this information together. And unfortunately, Lori, if you're on here, we'll be coming to you once again to assist us with our parent survey as well. But your hard work in your department does not go unnoticed, and we thank you. We thank you for that. All right, moving forward to committee reports. Education and Technology, Mrs. Manganello.
Thank you, Ms. President. I move for the adoption of item 1 within Education and Technology.
Thank you. Do we have any questions? Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Campbell. Can I have a roll call, please?
Yes, Mr. Angus?
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Campbell?
Yes.
Mrs. Curtis?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes.
Mrs. Manganello?
Yes.
Mr. Metz?
Yes.
Ms. Pedigo?
Yes.
Ms. Young?
No.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Moving forward to Finance and Budget, Ms. Pedigo.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. President. There's two items number 4 and 5 that are new to this agenda from the meet and discuss last week. So we need to have discussion on that. Item number 4 is repository and item number 5 is tax exoneration. So if there's no discussion, I'm going to move for the adoption of items 1 through 5.
Any discussion at all? Any questions? Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angus,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Curtis,
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Manganello,
Yes.
Mr. Metz,
Yes.
Ms. Pedigo,
Yes.
Ms. Young,
Yes.
Ms. Young,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Moving forward to building and grounds, Mr. Angus.
Yes, I move for the adoption of item number 1 under building and grounds.
Do we have any questions? Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angus, Mr. Angus,
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
did Mr. Campbell answer? I'm sorry.
Yes, he said yes.
Sorry about
Yes.
that. Mrs. Curtis,
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Manganello,
Yes.
Mr. Metz,
Yes.
Ms. Pedigo,
Yes.
Ms. Young,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Athletics, Mr. Campbell.
Nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. Public relations, Mr. Metz?
Nothing to report at this time.
Thank you. Steering and rules, Mrs. Kehoe.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to move for the adoption of items number 1 through, is it the last one 10 or 11?
13.
13,
Oh, 13.
1 through 13.
Okay, so it's 1 through 13.
Any questions? Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
Thanks, Mr. Metz. Roll call, please.
Mr. Angus,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Curtis,
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Manganello,
Yes.
Mr. Metz,
Yes.
Ms. Pedigo,
Yes.
Ms. Young,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Moving forward to legislative, Ms. Young?
Nothing to report at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Salary, schedule, and labor relations, Mrs. Curtis?
Nothing to report this evening.
Thank you. Moving forward to personnel, Mr. Angus?
Yes, at this time, I move for the adoption of items 1 through 14 as presented.
Thank you. Any questions? Do I have a second?
I'll
Second.
second.
Thank you. I don't know who beat you to it. Was it Mr. Metz first?
Mr. Campbell,
Okay,
Mr.
thank
Metz,
you.
Mr. Metz,
Thank you. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Angus,
Yes.
Mr. Campbell,
Yes.
Mrs. Curtis,
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe,
Yes.
Mrs. Manganello,
Yes.
Mr. Metz,
Yes.
Ms. Pedigo,
Yes.
Ms. Young,
Yes.
Mrs. Fisher,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. Moving forward to the solicitors report, Ms. Turnbull?
I have no action items for the board's consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Superintendent's report, Dr. Pascarella.
Just like to again thank the students and staff and parents as I do. I'd also like to thank Addie and the athletic department for the update and congratulate all of our student athletes. And just to tell everybody, I appreciate everything that they're doing and all of their hard work. That's it.
Okay, Dr. Pascarella, thank you. I have a motion on the floor to adjourn.
Second,
Second,
Anita, so moved. And then a
so
second.
moved.
Thank you. Mr. Campbell, you'll second.
absolutely. I'll second. Valerie second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you so much for attending our lengthy meeting tonight. We will be in touch with a multitude of information. Have a great evening.
Night.
All right, thank you.
Night.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you.